Iceland, the land of volcanoes, a well-preserved language, and an app to tell you if you're related to the person you're dating, is a fun and isolated location to play in Crusader Kings 3, and with my return to streaming, my chat requested that I do a challenge run on the island. Requested by my #1 favorite chatter, TerrahKitsune, is what I've dubbed the Fire Nation Pretender Affair. I've called it that because the requirement for the run is to conquer Iceland, reform into Icelandic culture, and then conquer the Fire Nation, which refers to the Abbasids because the Fire Nation of Avatar resembles them, I guess. I don't know. I haven't watched Avatar, so blame the chatter that requested the run if it's a strange connection. I suppose the Abbasids are also Fire Nation oriented because there's a lot of heat and desert there, but we all know the real Fire Nation is Iceland, with its volcanoes. So we've got our checklist of tasks: unite Iceland, diverge the culture, make a custom kingdom, become Emperor of the Arabian Empire. Alright, let's jump into the run and take a look at how to, within one lifetime, start in Iceland and then conquer the entire Abbasid Caliphate. Starting in Eastern Iceland, I'm making a custom character, since I was allowed to, who will be the character with whom we complete the entire challenge. This is Hallstein Möhring. I'm sorry, I sound kind of like a German, I don't know how to sound Icelandic. And he's a pretty good martial character with temperate and eccentric as traits. My facecam covered his stats, so that's my bad, but hopping into the game we briefly see that he's got basically just martial and stewardship. It's all that I'll need for the run. In this position, we can't quite even defeat the Western Icelanders, so we're going to first focus on raiding and building up a strong enough army to defeat our enemies. Because we're tribal, we use prestige for men-at-arms, and because we're Norse, we get access to Huskarls and Varangian veterans, which basically are the best units in the game. My first raiding target is Cornwall, because they're weak, even if they don't have much loot. We're looking for nations which are weaker than us, but willing to raise armies, because when we engage in combat with hostile armies that we're not at war with, and we win, we get insane prestige based on the fatalities in the battle. Check this out. Prestige before raiding Cornwall is -55. After raiding Cornwall, I've got 198 prestige before dropping the loot off. That's from fighting Cornwall's army over and over again. As you can see, we'll be able to get a pretty big pile of prestige going. My next target is Brittany, who has an even larger army than Cornwall. One battle has given me almost 200 prestige. Unfortunately, during the fights, Hallstein lost his eye, but funnily enough, because one-eyed is a virtuous trait in Asatru, this is actually a good thing. Anyway, I returned home from Brittany after building up more Huskarls, and now I've got 500 of them. It's time to invade Western Iceland. I declared war for Sutherland, and my army was able to destroy the West Icelandic army with my much higher quality army. After reclaiming Husavik, I won the war, and now control 3/4 of the island, allowing me to declare myself the Jarl of Iceland. The prestige from that title also lets me get my first set of Varangian veterans. I celebrated that with some raids across England, and then I began work on reaching Arabia. I'm going to conquer the southern tip of Ireland. Obviously, Desmond fell without any hassle, and I even captured their ruler, which, pro tip for you, if you're fighting a single county enemy and you capture them when you take their capital, don't just end the war. Ransom them and then win the war, since you win from having full occupation anyway. My next target is Lisbon, since it's relatively well placed, and again, the war was too simple to go over. From Lisbon, I will raid the Mediterranean, and in particular, Rome, since the Pope will almost certainly raise his army to fight me. Remember, we want realms which will put up a fight, but only a fight we can win and inflict heavy casualties in. As my army gets bigger, and therefore the armies I can fight get bigger, the amount of prestige I get from the fights increases more and more. With one fight against the Pope, I've got myself another 300 prestige. I stack wiped the Pope in another battle, and got myself an additional 400 prestige, which I'm immediately reinvesting into my holdings back in Iceland. I'm going to conquer Cagliari next, because it's a very nice county to use as a central position for raiding. In theory, the gold mine is also great there, but I don't plan to use it for that, since I'm staying tribal, and then I invaded Crete for similar reasons. I tried to raid Constantinople, but the garrison there is too high. In case you didn't know, you need more total troops than the garrison to be able to raid or siege any holding, and Constantinople has almost 5,000 troops in its garrison. My troops are really strong, but not particularly numerous. I did manage to defeat the Byzantine army and claim a nice 500 prestige for myself, but it was a very close battle. Anyway, after all the raiding and war, I finally decided to conquer the last piece of Iceland, which motivated Cornwall to declare war on me for Desmond. I don't care for that piece of land anymore, so I just let Cornwall have it. I finished the siege of Vesterland, and thus united Iceland on the 18th of February, 884. Although Iceland is unified, it still very much is just some colony of the Norsemen. That's gotta change. We're going to make a new Icelandic culture by diverging, but I don't want to just diverge and not change anything. I want to actually create a new cultural identity, which means I need to change some traditions. I'm already required to change the ethos, and I'm thinking bureaucratic just because I really like the extra lifestyle experience. For traditions, I'm thinking of doing only the strong, to represent our reliance on high-quality men-at-arms. That'll cost a ton of prestige, so we'll come back to that. In the meantime, I'm going to do more raiding and try to make a custom Icelandic kingdom. To do so, we need 3 duchies, which will form the duchies for the kingdom. I've got Iceland and Crete right now, so I need 1 more. What could be more appropriate than the Isle of Man? This will be a very cursed kingdom of Iceland, Man, and Crete. 3 islands with vastly different people coming together in mutual love for raiding, I guess. Not sure how to justify this one roleplay-wise. I did it because I do consider each of these viewer-requested runs to be a speedrun, even though there are some RP aspects. I've got a very strong army, so I'm going to try raiding France. I'm hoping they'll raise an army that I can slaughter for huge prestige. Indeed, I did slaughter them in Paris, getting myself a cool 700 or so prestige in just 1 battle. They fought me again along the Seine River, and I got myself another 700 or so prestige. I made my first foray into scholarship perks at this point as well, since I don't want to die before I complete the challenge. Hallstein is hitting his late 40s, and he's a great character with the strategist perk and 40 martial. I'm working on the scholarship tree so I can get sanctioned loopholes. With that perk, I can claim the Arabian Empire with piety and make the challenge go so much faster than if I had to manually conquer the empire with just Conquest or Holy War CBs. Anyway, I engaged in more raiding across Italy and Iberia, and then I saw the Byzantines in a massive civil war. This matters because it means there will be hostile armies roaming around. I can kill those armies and get huge prestige. I'm not really interested in raiding for monetary benefit, I just want to win battles and rack up more and more prestige. Unfortunately, the civil war ended before I could find any armies to kill. I went to a university at this point because I completely forgot that I have literal thousands of gold to waste, and universities are amazing money sinks for their perk points and education upgrades. I went to Sigtuna and upgraded my education to Brilliant Strategist and 2 perk points. I got pretty confident at this point and raided the Arabian Empire. Now, the Arabians have the only counter to pure Varangian and Huscarl armies, the Mubarazim, which counter heavy infantry and are themselves heavy infantry. The Abbasid army was more numerous and of a countering nature to my army, and therefore it did defeat me in Alexandretta. I recovered my morale, and in this case I mean my personal morale, not the army's, in the Byzantine Empire, and then raided Cairo and its surroundings. This was followed by another French raid where I absolutely slaughtered the French once again. I went on a hunt to try and get more prestige, since at this point I want to hit max level fame for more knights, and just in general I need the prestige for my new culture and custom kingdom. I took down a wolf, got myself a new artifact, and the hunter trait. I finally had a large enough army to raid Constantinople, and so I went, and the Byzantines did look for a fight, which they promptly lost. The only army that stands a chance against me is the Abbasid army and its Mubarazin. By raising just my men-at-arms, I was able to raid the Pope and ensure that he would fight back. This is what I was hoping for, since now the Pope won't raise troops against me with my massive army, but when the AI considers if it will fight back against a raid, it will only consider the number of troops, not the quality of them. For that reason, the Pope sent his men only for them to be turned to a blood paste in the fields of Latium. I built up almost 4,000 prestige at this point, which feels pretty good. I just need a bit more for my culture and for my kingdom. I realized at one point that I can cheapen the cost of adding only the strong to my culture by just getting better knights. If you ever want to get some good knights into your court, just find women and marry them matrilineally to high prowess characters with the spouse finder. This can be really powerful in any run to be honest, let alone when you're trying to get a new tradition that is made cheaper by better knights. You can even recruit women in your dungeon and use them to get marriages with knights that you can bring back to court. With only the strong cheapened, I just need a couple hundred more prestige, but because my troops cost so much prestige, I can't just sit and build it up. I have to earn it. I raided Wessex, the kingdom, not the duchy, since the AI made a custom Wessex kingdom and offered raise his troops against me. Despite having more than double the army, he was slaughtered, earning me about 900 prestige, and thus Icelandic culture was founded. I like to consider that battle in Wessex to be the moment in history that the official divergence of Icelandic was documented, as if there was some runestone somewhere that recorded a battle against the Wessex army, but it wrote that the raiders were not Norse, but rather Icelandic or something, and that the immense ferocity of the Varangians and Huscarls was a notable difference from the other Norsemen, hence, only the strong. I dropped the loot off in Man, realized I never picked a deity to worship for the whole game, huge brain move, and then founded the new Icelandic kingdom consisting of Iceland, Man, and Crete. The founding of the Icelandic kingdom and culture was also the point at which Hallstein made his claim to the Abbasid throne. Iceland is known for its volcanic terrain and heat, but the Arabians are equally known for their deserts and sand. Looking to dismantle both the claims that the Abbasids could defeat the Icelandic armies, and to assert himself as the only true fire nation, Hallstein put all his intention on the empire. I'm trying to roleplay the best I can, okay? I also reset my perks afterwards and took the whole of body line of perks instead of scholar, since I don't want to die prematurely. I'm already 57, so life may not be with me much longer. Conveniently, the Abbasids had a civil war right when I was planning to declare war, and so I declared the war for the empire. Launching from Crete, the army landed in Gaza uncontested, as I imagine the Caliph is busy fighting his own subjects. I was able to siege pretty much all of Jerusalem, and while I was working on Beirut, I instead stopped the siege and turned south to Negev, since the Caliphal armies were there. They have no supplies and are stuck wandering the desert, which is a perfect opportunity to strike with my only mildly low supply troops. The Battle of Isla was an absolute catastrophe for the Abbasids, who were killed to a man and whose leader, the Caliph, was captured. I could end the war right now, but rather than that, I think the Caliph of Islam will be a worthy sacrifice for Odin, and I also got a ton of dread from it. This would trigger a wave of absolute rage in the Muslim community as the new child Caliph was enthroned. It's not like it really matters, as I've sieged Negev, and now won the war, putting me on the Arabian throne. Immediately, I renamed it to New Iceland and gave it a more Icelandic color and ended the run at 1 hour, 6 minutes, and 45 seconds. The run is complete, but I'm not quite done yet. I want to do a little more stuff this run just for fun. First of all, my new Muslim Arab subject immediately rose up in rebellion. Thankfully, it was a populist revolt, which means I just have to kill the low-born revolters, and then I will win the war against even the nobles. Remember that any populist revolt will immediately be defeated if the entire peasant army is killed, even if other nobles are supporting the uprising. Using my immensely powerful army, I defeated the peasants and imprisoned many Arab and Iranian lords. Rather than revoke their land, I'm just going to execute them all for sacrifices to Odin. Now this is roleplay. See you later, boys. One of the lords had no heir, so I actually inherited some land in Arabia, and more importantly, the Mubarazan men-at-arms that they had. So now I've got some of this overpowered heavy infantry alongside my already overpowered heavy infantry. Life just keeps on giving. I burned down Constantinople once again, and then hunted down the Byzantine army as it was dealing with a rebellion. I completely stack wiped them, and earned myself almost 2,000 prestige in one battle. It's so broken, I can't. I can only properly end things off here by conquering Rome for no reason other than to stick it to the Christians. With Huskarls, Varangians, and Mubarazan, I literally counter every single unit in the Papal army, and they counter none of mine. To be fair, countering isn't that important for winning battles. The real reason I'm winning is that my units are just extremely high in damage and toughness. The countering is just really pog to see. With Rome conquered, I moved the capital over there since it's a nice central location from which to raise troops, and then I went to conquer Egypt, but before I could do so, a random harm event about some sickness on the road got me. I keep harm events on for these runs because a bit of random death is kind of fun, but for actually important speedruns, I usually turn them off. My new character is Horthaknut, and he's an okay character, but at this point, I'm done with the run now. It was fun, and I thoroughly enjoyed coming back to streaming with a fun, raid-oriented campaign. The best part of the run was definitely the Kingdom of Wessex. I love when the AI forms ridiculous custom kingdoms like this, especially since Wessex is basically the same color as England. He made a Kingdom of Wessex. Like, I love it. Like, look at this. It's like, dude, it just works. It just works. Even with this relatively low quality character, my realm is completely secure. I've got so much money, and my troops are so powerful that my army is of high quality while still being 7,000 strong. Yeah, I don't think this run would die if I were to continue it. And even if I did die, I could let the realm collapse and just enjoy my built-up tribal holdings in Iceland and conquer Britain or something to make it my new home. There are all kinds of options I could pursue for this, but the requirements for the run were just to become Icelandic, be a custom kingdom, and conquer the Abbasids. We're done here. Thanks so much for watching. If you have an idea for a run, come over to the Twitch stream and use channel points to request a run. You can get channel points by just watching the stream, so it's completely free. Any run that I don't like or fail to complete, I refund, and any run I complete gets turned into a YouTube video like this one. Thank you for your time.